Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. On this collection reflection, we will be taking a look at the bounty hunter for the Kharn, Krepitus. We're going to take a closer look at the box first. On the back of these boxes, you will find their stats, their bio, a few of the other figures you can collect, the plot to the show, and where you can watch it. You can also watch it on YouTube if you'd like. Krepitus is a relentless bounty hunter. He is tasked with eliminating loose ends for the Kharn. Krepitus has no sympathy for his targets. He is only focused on the task at hand and will do anything to complete it. His latest bounty is that of the defector Torn. His weapon of choice? Krepitus uses his jagged arm blades enhanced with poison to eliminate his targets. His companion Flea helps scout out and find targets quietly. So there's Krepitus, and there's his companion Flea. What do you say we open him up, take him out, and we decide for ourselves whether or not he belongs in our collection? And here we have the Kharn bounty hunter himself, standing in front of us. And the first thing that catches my eye is that awesome paint, this golden paint that they're using to accent the figure and kind of pick out the details in his armor and his shoulder mounted throne. That's going to be used for his companion Flea, which we'll look at closer when we talk about his accessories. But for now, look at all of this awesome sculpt that they put into this. Keep in mind, this is a toy from the Dollar Tree. The Final Faction line is Dollar Tree exclusive, so each one of these figures costs $1.25, and so do their weapon packs and vehicles. I think that's pretty amazing. That's why I can't keep my hands off of these things. We can take a closer look at his legs. I mean, that is incredible. I don't even know where the armor is supposed to begin and where his skin ends. There's his Kharn fingers. Almost got claws on them. That's really cool. Let's take a closer look at his face. Look at that mean mug. He's got almost like compound eyes. I just think it's interesting that they painted his eyes the same way as they painted the rest of his armor. It almost looks like he has armor-plated eyeballs, which I guess would come in handy in a fight. He's got this awesome dread coming off the side of his head. Makes him look a little bit more like the Predator from Predator. He's got some holes in his back. A couple of these are for screws, and I believe this one is for a future accessory pack that we have not seen yet. He's got similar holes in his arms, and those are going to be for his blades. He's got his alien six-pack going on. Yeah, the sculpt is amazing, and the paint has gotten a lot better on these guys as well. But this figure just looks undeniably cool. I do wish that his arms and legs weren't so smushed together. I don't know if that's just for packaging reasons, or if it just gives him like a creepier presence on your shelf or something. So now we're going to take a look at his articulation, which is going to go pretty quick because all of the Final Faction toys are pretty much a 5 POA, which means they have 5 points of articulation. One in the head, where he can swivel. One in both arms, where they swivel 360. And you can see here, his arms are so close to his body that they actually bump into the leg. I mean, you can still get it to go around, but it's just a minor inconvenience. And then finally, he's got the swivel in the hips, which he can kick out pretty high. And he can do the full splits. And that's all for the articulation. So let's look at his accessories. So he comes with 2 unique arm blades. One is more of like a hooked shape and one is more of a sword shape. They both have pegs on one side of them, so you just match it up to the hole in his arm and you peg it in. I tried pegging it into his back just to see if you could have like some kind of weapon storage if you didn't want them on his arms, and it just doesn't fit on my copy. So you can also put them on any arm that you like. This is what Krepitus looks like when he's got his awesome poisonous bounty hunter arm blades on, and they do look really cool. They actually change up this figure's presence a lot, and if you don't want them out and ready for battle, you can always just swivel them around. His final accessory that he comes with would be his companion friend here, Fleet. There's even more sculpted detail, and there's a little divot in his body so that you can come here and put him on the throne, and he's supposed to just kind of hang out with Krepitus. The only problem is it's not too sturdy, but it's not too loose either. Would you like to see him next to some other action figures? Well, I sure hope so, because that's what we're going to do now. Here is Krepitus standing next to some of his bigger teammates. This is the Kharn Brute and the Kharn General himself, Diabol. You can see Krepitus is a good middle height between the two, but he's a lot leaner and thinner than the Brute or Diabol. There he is, standing next to a Kharn drone and his rival, Torn. Here he is next to another one of his enemies, Amari from the final faction, and from League of Legends, Vi. It seems like Vi is a little bit taller than Krepitus, and Amari's mohawk is above Krepitus's head, but their eyes are all about the same level. A couple more members of the final faction. We have Scope and Steel. And all the other action figures besides Steel I have customized myself to give added articulation. We have him next to fellow bounty hunter, Boba Fett, and fellow Green Blade enthusiast, Ahsoka Tano, both from the Star Wars Vintage Collection. Here's a Batman from the DC Spin Master line, and a retro Marvel Black Panther who also has custom articulation. Here we have an alien drone from the movie Alien, and from Dragon Stars we have Golden Frieza. Here he is with a couple of Transformers. On the left we have a fully loaded Red Cog, and on the right we have a B-127 from the Bumblebee movie. Both of these are deluxe class Transformers, but Krepitus is actually a little bit taller than Bumblebee, and he comes up to about the elbow of Red Cog. And finally, we have Pumpkin Wrapper's incredibly large head. That's up to his chest. Normally at this point in the show, I'm wrapping up my final thoughts and trying to see if there's any way to improve this action figure so that we could enjoy it more. But I've also had a lot of people curious on how I've been able to add this articulation and what is the actual range of these new articulated figures that I have. So this is my customized version of Krepitus. Since this is an earlier custom of mine, hopefully my skills have improved since then, so these cuts are not going to be as lopsided as you see here, and the joints are going to be more well hidden and in better places. But basically, his new articulation gives him the opportunity to go out that far with both arms. He can still do everything that he used to be able to do. He can 360 at the shoulders, he can swivel at the head, he can kick out pretty far with both legs, he can still do the splits like normal. And with Krepitus, I actually use less articulation on him just because I don't want to break up this awesome sculpt that he has for his elbows. And with his knees, if I added one point of articulation in his knee, he still has this alien curve to his leg. So even if you could straighten out his knee, you wouldn't really be able to stand him up at all. But if I bring a different one of the customs, one of the human versions, we could take a look at Scope. And again, he started off with the same exact articulation where it's just the 5 POA. But if we look here, he can also move out his arms as well as the shoulder. He can kick out just as high as ever. He can kick out to the side pretty well, even though he has his gun holsters there. And he can also bend his knee about 90. And I'm working on trying to find out how to include these elbows. The biggest problem is that the ball joints that I'm using are too large to fit in the smaller spots like the elbows, or on certain characters like their knees and shoulders. If you'd like to own an articulated Final Faction figure, I'm currently selling them right now. So contact me at this email address or on my Instagram so that you can order yours today. Since this is a Dollar Tree brand, there are going to be some factory defects that I have no control over, such as the face paint or the paint on the body, or even just this loose head. If you do decide to order one, you can expect something like this, where all you have to do is open up the packaging. I'd probably put a little bit of tape there for you. You take out the figure, and you can already start moving them all around any way you want. But it's not something that's going to fall apart on you. You can manhandle it. This is something I would never do with my actual action figures. But after all that, it's still fine, still good to go. And if you feel like any of it's popping out, you just got to push everything back into place and you're all set. Thank you all so much for watching and making it to this part of the video. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you. Every time you interact with my channel, it helps me get better because it either tells me something that I'm doing right or it shows me something that I'm doing wrong. So please continue liking or subscribing or commenting and give me your opinion. I hope you all find some time in your day to have a nice chuckle and be nice to somebody. I'll talk to you next time.